Alright guys, welcome back to Tech Tanks. We're going to go ahead and finally get started on our video for Nmap. Alright, and so this is going to be probably at least two videos, potentially a third, but more likely we're going to keep it in two. So the big focus is going to be doing our scanning of networks. So if you've been following along with the entire video series that I've been doing on CEH version 11, we are still on the second domain, which is reconnaissance techniques, but we are moving into the scanning networks subdomain. Alright, we're going to be looking at a couple scanning tools. We're going to be doing host discovery and port and service discovery today. Alright, so when I say we're doing a couple videos with Nmap, there's a few reasons. One, part of the objectives also includes scanning beyond IDS and firewall. We're not going to be doing that part today. We're not going to be running the scripts and all that come with Nmap, alright? This is a basic learning how to start using it, and yeah, let's go ahead and get this started. So first of all, to make sure that we are set up with the lab, so you guys know what I'm running. If you're wanting to set up something similar, um, what I have going right now, as you can see, I'm running Kali Linux right here at the forefront. Behind that, I'm going to bring forward, we have Windows Server 2012, okay? And then one that you can't see just yet, let me bring it to the front, is Windows 10, all right? So we're running three different operating systems here, and I'm going to bring Kali back to the front. And just to make sure you're aware of kind of how the network is set up, I have all three of these running in VMware, and I have them running on a custom network, which basically allows these three to communicate with one another, along with the other ones set up in this lab, but I don't have those up right now. Here are the IP addresses that we'll be working with. So Kali's running, well, they're all running 192.168.0, and then Kali's on 50, Windows 10 is on 35, and Windows Server is on 10. Okay? So, alright, now that we have this all set up here, let's get going with Nmap. Alright, so for the most part, most of our scans are going to happen from our Kali system here. We are going to run a couple from Windows Server as well. And then I'm going to show you another tool for running a host discovery. It does a little bit of port scanning, but very, very little from Windows 10. It's going to be the Angry IP scanner. That one's also brought up in the both CEH version 10 and 11 reading material. So just as an FYI. Alright, so the first thing we're going to start with is going to be host discovery, because that should basically be step one for you, right? Now, there's going to be three different host discoveries that we're going to be running with Nmap, and then I'll show you Angry IP Scanner. Nmap, we're going to be doing an ARP ping, UDP ping, and an echo ping. Alright? Now, to make sure that everything is set up how we want it to be, or everything will work how we want it to, on the Windows Server, we're going to make sure that the firewall is disabled for now, okay? Reason for that is, again, this is just to understand how to do the scans, okay? I will be turning it on when we do the bypassing the IDS and firewalls. So yeah, let's go ahead and to shut it off. And if you're not using Windows Server, it's the same thing on any Windows system. You're going to go to your network and sharing center, go to your firewall, and I already have this one shut off, so perfect. Alright, and although I am going to turn it on later for a particular reason, so I'm going to leave that up right now so I can do that later. Alright, now another thing that I want to show you on this, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. We're also going to be using a little bit of Wireshark, but this is not going to be our video on Wireshark. Alright, we are going to do a whole different video on that later. So, okay, we're going to just go ahead and stop it. I don't want any of this. Alright, so I'm going to set the IP address to, I think I have it right here. Yeah, there we go. 50. Alright. So, this way you can just kind of see what's going on. That's all. Okay, it's just going to limit what it is we're showing. So we're going to go ahead and start this fresh. Alright, so that's now, oh, okay, we're doing it. Wait a minute here. Stop it. There we go. Alright. So I have this server set up as the DNS for all the other ones on this in this lab. So all right. So first things first, let me pull Kali Linux back up. All right. Now you should be able to see that. All right. So running the command line, I hope this part's obvious. It should start with Nmap. All right. Now we want to, since we're only doing host discovery, we want to disable port scanning. All right. Now you need to know this flag, whether you're doing the version 10 or version 11. You need to know the whether you want to call it a flag or a switch. SN disables port scanning. All right. You're going to want to put that up there. All right. And then for now, we're going to go ahead and start with an ARP ping. So we're going to do that. And then what I'm going to do, because one thing I found is that if I only set it toward this system, you don't see anything on Wireshark. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a sweep scan. Okay, so we're going to set it up like this, 192.168.0.1. Now the subnet mask for this lab is 255.255.255. If you are not familiar with subnet masks and all that fun stuff, you're definitely going to want to make sure you know it for the CEH exam, and I would say that you should already be familiar with it by this point, but we're going to go ahead and set it up with a WAM24. So basically it's now going to scan anything from the 1 all the way to 255. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and send this on its way, but I'm going to bring the server up in front before I do that, so that way you can see what appears on here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and launch it, and then we're going to go ahead and just watch Wireshark. And for those of you who know your protocols and all that, ARP request is going to set, it's a DNS protocol. Alright, so basically we got our address resolution protocol, it responded, fantastic, you can see the response right here, so everybody's happy. Now if we go back to Linux, we have 3 hosts up, alright, and it'll even tell you, 192.168.0.10, that's our server, .35, that's our Windows 10 system, and then we had a little bit of self-discovery here with the .50, that's this system's IP address, the Kali Linux. Okay, so that is your ARP ping. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to switch it to a UDP scan now. Alright, so this one, basically it sends through a bunch of ping requests, again using the UDP protocol this time. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and send this through, and it's not going to succeed. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not going to do what we want it to. It will still succeed because it'll tell us that all 3 hosts are up, but let's see if you catch the issue here. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the Windows server back to the front. I'm going to send this scan through. Oops, there we go. And here's the new request. Now, interesting thing is it still says DNS. Now the reason for that, and this is in the CEH reading, on the version 11 I did not actually see it in the version 10. Okay, so take that for what you will. But Nmap has this automatic thing where it will always do an ARP ping. Now the reason it does that is because it's the most efficient, it's the most accurate, it defaults to that. But that means whatever flag we put on it, it's still going to do an ARP ping scan, which is what we saw on there. It was sending out the DNS still. Okay, so the way you're going to disable that, so we're going to type this out again. We're going to do the SN, and then we're going to disable ARP ping. And then we're going to go ahead and tell it to do a UDP scan and set it up. Everything else is the exact same. We just added that disable ARP ping flag. Okay. When we do that, let's go ahead and bring the, I'm not even going to bring the server up this time. Never mind. I got a better idea. I'm going to go ahead and just drag this down here. There we go. Look at that. And what I am going to do is I'm going to reset this. Okay. So DNS, we see those. We're going to reset this. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and send this on through. And now you see it's showing UDP scans, right? Whole lot of them actually. Oh, we're getting it for everything. Yeah, there it goes. Alright. Well, whatever. You can do that all at once. Okay. Now if we go back here, it shows we have 3 hosts up again. Okay? Same thing as before. Everything is, like, the results are still the same, but this time we actually did the UDP scan. Now the last one I want to do, and once again I'm going to go ahead and clear this out so we can get a fresh screen. If you are not familiar with Wireshark, the first thing you're going to learn is it fills up very, very quickly. Alright, you will get a whole lot of data the moment you kick it on. So I will cover it in later videos, but make sure you absolutely become familiar with how to use this up here, like applying your filters and things like that, okay? Alright, so I want to make sure you saw what we did here. This one, everything stayed the same, but this time it's an E after the capital P, right? And that is for the echo ping scan. I'm going to go ahead and send it on through, and then I'm going to go ahead and just lower this again. That made it a lot easier, right? Okay, so we're going to send it. And you can see here we are getting ICMP protocols. Alright, and the reason for that is it is, I mean, that's what a ping is. It's a ICMP protocol. Then we still have some DNS running here for some reason. Weird. But yeah, there you go. It's probably yeah, that has nothing to do with our ping sweep. That's something else. Alright, so there you go. Alright, those are all host discovery methods, and as you can see here, all it does is just let you know if these hosts are up, because we disabled the port scanning, and we were able to do the different ping scans by disabling the ARP ping scan, okay? So one last thing I wanted to show you real quick, only because I actually, first of all, it is in the reading for both version 10 and version 11, but also my thing is, I just think this tool is the coolest thing ever. Alright, so I'm going to bring up the Angry IP scanner. It is going to be a little hard to see, but that's alright. Okay, so as far as for this, you can set up an IP range. It doesn't have to stay within your, like your own specific IP range. You can set this to literally go from 10.10.10.0 all the way to 255.255.255.255 if you really wanted to. And it cranks these out pretty dang quick. So what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to worry about showing you in the Wireshark this time, but I'm going to go ahead and just send it or keep it on its default. This is from a previous scan that I did. So it's 192.168.0.0 to 192.168.0.255. Okay, so it's getting a whole lot of IP addresses. But we're going to go ahead and just hit start, and you're going to just watch it start flying through these. Okay, now part of the reason why it is going so fast is because it is within its own little network. It's not reaching out over the internet or anything like that, but it's still pretty fast anyway. I actually use this for my own home network, and I'll tell you, it cranks it. So, alright, so we got it all done. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just sort by host name. And I don't know how well you can read that here, but it gives us the Windows Server, Windows 10, and then it doesn't provide this one for the Kali Linux, but these are the 3 systems showing us up. Alright, and it also identified that Windows Server has port 80 open, which it does. So like I said, it does a little bit of port scanning, but that's about it. So that is Angry IP Scanner. It is pretty simple, easy to use. You can change different things on it. You can export the results, things like that. So there's your Angry IP Scanner, right? Now we're going to go ahead and go back to Kali here. Alright, so real quick, I did want to just remind you, for the host discovery, they all started with a capital P, and then you had your U for the UDP scan, you had your E for the echo, and then you had your R for the ARP scan. Okay, so one thing to remember is if one of the flags is a capital, like it starts with a capital P, and then it follows up with a, R, E, or U, those are your ping scans, okay? It's a host discovery question, most likely. All right, or if it's, if your question is going to be about, which flag would you set for doing a fin scan, it's not going to start with a P because now we're talking about a scan, not pinging. Okay, we're talking about port scanning, which we'll be getting into that one, not this video, in a different video. Okay, because that's a special type of scan that can help bypass things. So, all right, cool. We got this part set up, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually bring the server up in front of Windows 10 because that's just throwing me off having the blue behind the blue. Alright, so what we're going to do now, I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. Sorry guys, I realize I can make this easier for you to see. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to just run, 6 different scans? About that. One of them is going to be on a different system, just as an FYI, so I will get that pulled up here in a minute. Well, probably more in a minute. My goal is to try to keep this video under an hour, but we're going to see, because I could just simply show you the flags and call it a day, but I think it would be really helpful if you actually see what it does on here. Okay, so let's do this, and we're going to just add more here to just make sure that we limit what kind of information we end up seeing. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead. What we're going to do first, we're going to do a full TCP connection. Now before I actually do that, I'm hoping I can do it through here. Let's find out. So we said the port, or we showed before the port 80 is open on here. Yep, there that goes. Alright, let's reset it again. So what I'm hoping I can show you real quick, and it depends if it's going to just pull it out of its own history, which looks like it is. Dag nabbit. Alright, let's try this one. Please hold. Let's change this to 35. Let's reset this. Hoping I can do this. Aha, perfect. Okay. So hopefully you understand what setting your flags are in your packets and like a TCP handshake and all that. But in case you're not, for anybody watching this, a TCP connection is a it is a connection-oriented protocol, which means it actually establishes a full connection between the client and the server, and it'll do that before any data is exchanged. Okay, and we have an example of that right here. Okay. So the first flag that's sent is from the client, which we see is from the 35 because it's coming from our Windows 10 system, which, sorry, you can't see. I apologize. I did it from the Windows 10 system, but we have right here, it sends a SYN packet, okay? And then the server, as you can see from the source being .10, sending it to .35, sends a SYN acknowledge packet, okay? And then the client responds to the server with an acknowledge. Okay, I'm not going to get into sequence numbers, window sizes, and all that. That's for a whole different thing. But this completes the connection right here. Once it is completed, now the client is sending its GET request to the server. The server will acknowledge and respond accordingly. Okay, and then yeah, you're all set. There's your TCP connection, and that connection will hold until you exit out of it, which we haven't done yet, and you can see there's a whole lot of stuff going on here. So the reason why that's relevant, the first scan I'm going to show you is the most accurate scan. It is the easiest scan to detect, and it does a full TCP connection. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get rid of this and go back to 50. And we're going to close our browser so that way we can stop with DNS requests and all that other stuff. Okay, I'm going to bring Kali back to the front. I'm going to reset this whole thing. Alright, okay, so, and you can see it's just blown up already. Oh, wait a minute. I know why. Let's get rid of that. I think I made the matter worse. Sure did. All right. Okay. So Nmap, and then we're going to set the ST flag, and then we're going to just be scanning our server. Okay, so I'm just going to be putting that one on there, and I'm going to go ahead and send that through, and then let's take a look and see how the server reacts. That is a whole lot of data. Look at that. I mean, just scrolling through it. That's what our Nmap scan just did. All right, all that. Okay. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of different colors. I'm not going to go too much into this because it'll take forever. What I'm looking for is just one right here, port 80. All right. Now, if you look at the results of the Nmap, we have a lot more than just port 80 open, right? You can see we have 135, 39, or 135, 139, 445, so on and so forth. Okay. We're going to go ahead and focus on port 80 just because it's a lot easier. Okay. So looking at our Windows server, we can see the port 80 right here. Now, right now you can actually see why this is such an easy scan to detect. Okay. Sin, like all these SYN flags are sent, and port 80, the server hasn't even had a chance to respond to it yet. Okay, the response is way down here. Okay, after all this stuff has already been sent through. Okay, so the SYN acknowledge is right here, and then here's your acknowledge. All right, now we can make this a little bit easier to view. I'm going to just pull this up here. Sorry, follow. Let me do that. I'm going to just close this. So here you have SYN, SYN acknowledge, and then the Kali system sent a reset afterward. Okay, so after it establishes a full connection, it's like, okay, that port's definitely open. Now I'm going to reset it. Gone. We're done. Okay, and then it closes that connection. So imagine if it was just constant connection, all from the same system, all on different ports. That's going to set up a lot of red flags. Okay, even a poorly configured IDS is probably going to find that one. So there you go. All right, let's go ahead and set our filter back. All right, we're going to go ahead and reset that. So that is your full TCP connection scan. Okay. Oh man, I'm just getting slammed with this. All right. Now, let's go ahead and clear out our Kali system. All right. The next one I'm going to show you is a stealth scan. Okay. And this one, you're going to see some similarities, but there's going to be a key difference. Now, this one is supposed to be harder to detect, but keep in mind, it really just depends on configuration. Okay. So pretty much everything's the same. What changed here was the flag right here. Okay, it is lowercase s, capital S now. Okay, let's go ahead and switch to the Windows Server. And we're going to watch this one. We're going to watch this one. And you're going to see, again, it's going to blow up. You're going to see a lot of SYNs. Right here, we got a SYN, SYN acknowledge. And then I'm going to show you where it's different without trying to hunt it down, because I actually think we already saw that, but we're going to just do this. So our Kali system sends a SYN packet, and the server responds to SYN acknowledge, and then the Kali system just sent a reset. Okay. Now, part of the reason why I think this is harder to detect is because it's not uncommon for a connection to get started and then abruptly just reset without ever actually finishing. Sorry, I got a drink of water. Anyway, it's not uncommon for that to happen. There's a whole lot of reasons why it could happen. If you had an interrupt in your internet connection for a moment, or if your system all of a sudden like shut down, or whatever the case may be, there's a lot of reasons why it could happen. So it's not completely uncommon. But I think if you just did a huge scan, scanning all possible ports, that's going to, throw up some red flags. So anyway, this is your stealth scan. All right. So again, the syntax for that was nmap dash lowercase s capital S, and if you notice, we get the same results as before. Okay. So yeah, we're good on this. Alright, let's go ahead and clear that out. And let's go ahead and reset this. Oops. Okay. And reset. Yes. Apply that. Alright. The next scan. Now this one's actually going to be kind of fun. Alright, so we're going to do Nmap, and this one's called the Xmas scan. Alright. I like this one. So it's called Xmas scan because it kind of lights up all the, lights up several lights when it comes to the flags you can set on a packet. Sends the fin, urge, and push flags. Alright, now this scan is a little interesting. Okay, and I'm going to show you why. So, there's the syntax you have in front of you. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the server now. And I'm going to launch this, so that way you get it going. And as you can see, all of a sudden now it's saying like fin push urge, blah blah blah, and we have resets being sent and all that fun stuff. But here's the funny thing. Okay, so first of all, now you see what it looks like. Okay, we're gonna look back to the Kali thing. Here's the funny thing. All 1000 scan ports on 192.168.0.10 are closed. Now, if you've done the reading, or if you're familiar with an Xmas scan, then your response should be, wait a minute, two things here. One, I don't know why you just scanned it on a Windows system, because Xmas scans don't work on a Windows system, and that is absolutely correct. All right, it has to be on a Unix-based system. But on the second one should be, this is supposed to show as opened. Why isn't it? Well, it's actually because we disabled the firewall. That is the reason why it's not showing that. So real quick, I'm going to go ahead and turn the firewall back on. You can kind of see what I'm doing in the background here. I'll bring it off to the side so you can see it. Okay, I'm turning it on. Okay, and so let's do that, and just so you can verify. Okay, they're on. And then we're going to just run the scan again. And what I want to show you is a couple things. I actually do want to show you how Wireshark looks different. So real quick, actually, before I reset it, let me show you what it looks like. So if you scroll down, you see a lot of red, and these are the resets. Okay, they're coming from the server. Okay, so just remember that part. Okay, I'm gonna just send through the scan again. Okay, exact same, nothing changes. And this time, see a whole lot of gray, a little bit of green. Alright, haven't seen any red yet. Now, we're going to pull up Kali. It's not done with the scan yet, but that's okay. Now it's done. And now it's saying that they're all open and filtered. Okay. Now, the funny thing is, it doesn't know whether or not they're filtered. Okay. It just knows that they're all open. Now, obviously we don't have 1000 ports open. We've scanned this before. We have, what, like 9, 10, something like that. But now it's saying that everything's open. Now the reason for it is the way that an Xmas scan works is when it sends through this packet with the fin, push, and urge flag set on it, if it gets a response back, a reset, that's a closed port. Okay. If it doesn't get a response back, that indicates that it is an open port. Okay. Now, the reason why it won't work on a Windows 10 system or a Windows system is because of how Windows handles their packets. Basically, when the firewall's up, it knows that it's like, all right, if you receive something that's not a SYN packet, we're just not going to respond. Okay. It is expecting a SYN packet. Now, there are certain exceptions, for example, like an ARP or some, depending on how you have your firewall configured, ICMP, like an echo. It will still respond to those, but when it's talking about a TCP connection, it's expecting a SYN packet. So because it's not responding, it shows everything is open, which is clearly not accurate. So these scans don't work on here. Now, where they do work, and I'm going to go ahead and show you on the server, okay, they do work on Unix systems. So what I'm going to do here, and just to make sure, in case you're not overly familiar with Linux and with Python, I want to show you how we do this here. We're going to tell Python to open a simple HTTP server. I'm going to put it on port 80 just to make sure that we get a typical port. Okay, we're now hosting on port 80. Okay, and so we have that open, and then I'm going to tell it to. So for the record, if you are not familiar with this, this is Zen. Sorry, let me pull up the server. This is Nmap. It is Nmap, but the GUI version. Okay, and I want to make sure you're familiar with how this looks and how to make it work, because I want to say like 80% of the CEH material covering Nmap demonstrates it with Nmap running from a Windows system. So I want to make sure you at least see this once to just be familiar with it. Honestly, there's not much of a difference here. The command is where you just type in what it is you're doing. So we're doing a Xmas scan, right? And then you can put it in the target section right here if you want, or you can just type it out right here. We're going to be targeting 192.168.0.50 because we're going to be scanning the Kali system. After that, just click scan and let it rip. Okay, and I'm not showing you on Wireshark. I could, but you already know what it looks like, right? You've already seen it. So it's just going to take a moment. There we go. And it shows 80 is open or filtered, and it's running HTTP, which is accurate. If we pull up our Internet Explorer, and then we go to 192, you can already see I've done it before. There you go. Which it's doing that because I'm hosting this on the, I'll just leave that up right there for a moment, and then I'll show you LSLA. And let me bring up Kali. So you can see where that's pretty much dead similar, right? You got your bash history, bash RC, you know, it just transfers right on over. That's just where I was hosting it, so not a big deal. Anyway, let's go ahead and close this out. Okay. So that is your Xmas scan when it actually works, right? Just remember, Xmas scan does not work on a let's go ahead and leave this up for now, just in case. It does not work on a Windows system, okay? I'm going to go ahead and turn our firewall back off real quick. Give me a moment. Okay. All right, so we now covered the Xmas scan. We are now going to run a acknowledge scan. Now this one is pretty interesting. It will not tell you if a port is open, okay? What it does tell you is if there is a firewall or not. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I really like this scan. So we're going to just do nmap SA, and then we're going to do 192.168.0.10. Now, I just shut off the firewall. Pretty sure. Pretty positive I did. So let me go ahead and reset this. Make sure our filter's applied. I'm going to go ahead and send this on through. And I'll bring the Windows server to the front because I want you to be able to see what it is we're doing here, because it's a different type of scan now. Alright. Now if you notice, it sends a whole lot of acknowledged packets, and then we get a couple resets sent back, right? Reset, reset, reset. Hey, acknowledge on port 80. So this isn't going to tell you that there's a port open. What it is going to show you, though, is that they are unfiltered, which is accurate, okay? Because if you recall, I told you, you didn't see it, but I told you that I reset the firewall, and you can see it right here. It's off, right? So that's what the acknowledge scan does. It is going to check whether or not there's a firewall. And the reason why it knows that there is a firewall is because it's receiving reset responses. Okay, it is receiving a response. Okay, and that's how they know that there is not a firewall. I don't know if I said is before or not. Anyway, there is not a firewall. Now, if I were to go here, turn it back on. Okay, and I should know by now that I'm connected to a guest or public network, but I keep forgetting, so I just keep turning them both on. Alright, so now we turned it on. Okay, and this should actually look pretty dang familiar. I'm going to do the exact same scan again. okay? And this time, it's not receiving responses. Whether the port is open or closed is irrelevant. It is not receiving any responses, okay? And still receiving more information. So, give it a moment. Still receiving information. Still receiving it. Alright, it's done. Okay, so no responses anywhere. And now if we go back to Kali, it's going to say that they are filtered. Alright, so the acknowledge scan is a pretty cool one if you just want to see if there's a firewall up and running. Okay, now if you've taken the PWK or plan on taking the PWK, which is pen testing with Kali, to try to get your OSCP certification, there are times in which you're going to have to identify whether or not there's a firewall present. This is one way that you could typically do it. I have not experienced where it hasn't worked, but I'm not going to say that it always works. Okay, that'd be a foolish thing to say. Okay, but there you go. There's that one. Now, there's a scan I want to make sure you're aware of, because I did see both of the, or I saw this in both the version 10 and version 11, and it's covered in quite a bit of detail in both books. So I want to make sure that you're fully prepared. Okay, and Nmap is, for the most part, the one tool you will be tested on. There's not a whole lot of tool questions, but I guarantee you'll have Nmap questions, okay? So it's called the idle scan. Now, I can't show you this one because it won't work, and I will show you that it won't work. Okay, so give me a moment here. I'm going to just reset our shark, and I'm going to show you the syntax first. I'm not going to launch it right away because I'm going to have to explain it. So we have Nmap. Okay, let me make this a little bit bigger just to make sure you can see it. There we go, Nmap. Then it's an S, capital I, and then there's two IP addresses I'm going to be putting here. The first IP address I'm going to put is, whoops, our Windows 10 system. Alright, then the second IP address I'm going to put is not the right one either. There we go. 0, 10. Okay. Now the first IP address you put in here is going to be referred to as the zombie system. Okay. The second IP address is your target. Now this is going to be really fun to explain, so I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do it well. But what we end up doing is we check for the IP ID number, okay, of the Windows 10 system, okay, our zombie system. Now this number increments every time this system sends. Every time it sends a packet. Okay? Now, if this system, or if the IP ID only increases by 1 from our first initial check, that means the port is closed. If the IP ID increments by 2, that means the port is open. Now I know that's missing part of the picture here, so let me go ahead and explain what happens. We send an Nmap, we send a SYN packet to 10, okay, to our server, but we're spoofing the Windows 10 address, okay? So basically, as far as the server is concerned, it's receiving a packet from Windows 10. So the way that it will respond when it receives a SYN packet is it will send it to Windows 10. It will send a SYN acknowledge packet, right? If the port is open. If the port is closed, it sends a reset packet. Sorry. Alright, so once again, because I know this is a lot of fun, we send a packet to our target, which is the server, but we're spoofing this IP address right here. This server is going to respond to this IP address, not to us, okay, not to our Kali system. If the port is open, it will send a SYN acknowledge to this IP address. If the port is closed, it will send a reset packet. Okay? Now, if a SYN acknowledge is sent to this IP address, it's going to respond with a reset packet. If this IP address receives a reset packet from this one, instead of a SYN acknowledge, it doesn't respond at all. Okay, so I know, confusing. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to see if I can show you on here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not. So I'm going to do 35. So now we're going to monitor that one. And yeah, we got a whole lot of information already. All right, here we go. So I'm going to send through the scan. I'm going to bring the server to the front. This scan will not work. See, it popped up already saying quitting. Okay. So here's where this is fun. We can see where the 50 sent something to the 35, okay, the Windows 10. Windows 10 responded. Okay. Then we see here where the Windows 10 sent something to, oh wait, still the same thing. What are we doing here? Gotta find it. There we go. All right. So we can see right here where 35 sent something to 10. Now our Windows 10 system really didn't send anything, okay? But that's what the server thinks happened. So then it sent a TCP port number is refused. 35 to 10 again. Ports refused. Ports refused. Huh, interesting. But right here we have set reset packet, right? 50 sends to 35 again. And this is when Nmap realized, oh, this isn't working. Now let me explain why it didn't work, okay? And just to show you the error that we got right here, okay? The target network recognizes that the packet source is bogus and drops them. This is called an idle scan, and an idle scan works on older systems. Okay, so my 8.1 and my 7, it might work on, and by all rights, I probably should have pulled them up, but I didn't. So we're not going to worry about it. But basically, what we're doing is, again, we spoofed an IP address. We're checking for an incremented IP ID numbers, and this is where you can see our Kali system checking for that increment again. Okay. So it doesn't work because these are newer ones. So whether or not you will actually see a question on it, I'm not sure, because it is kind of an outdated thing, but it's possible. I think part of the reason why it's brought up is because spoofing IP addresses is still something that's done quite a bit. But anyways, that's that one. All right. So that's actually all the scans I wanted to show you for the most part. There is one more I did want to point out just for being thorough. Give me a moment here. I got to pull up the system because I'm gonna go back to that typical parrot system because I actually need internet access for this one. Okay, we're gonna do a IPv6 scan. Now the scan is not going to succeed. It's going to be blocked. Okay, but you can at least see how it works, and you will actually see the IP address that was scanned in the process. Okay. Sorry, it's taking a while. I have a lot of systems up right now, so it takes a minute to fully pull up. Alright, here we go. I'm pulling it up right now. You'll recognize the system. It's my parrot that I've used in every single other video that we've done. No, we're not going to check for updates right now. Alright, let me go ahead and I'm going to pull it up for you guys now. Let's just do a... Oh man. Oh man. Here we go. Display. Okay. Yeah, we'll just do this one. That'll work. Okay. So we now have Kali up. You should see it. Yep. Fabulous. Alright. Let's pull up our command line. And boom, 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 boom. Make it nice and big. Alright. That's huge for you. Perfect. There we go. Alright. So it starts off the same. Nmap. But this is where it's a little different. We're going to put the number 6. Alright. And then we're going to go ahead and just do scanme.nmap.org. They set this up so you could test out your Nmap, make sure it's working, that sort of thing. It does block ping probes, so we're going to go ahead and just tell it not to try to discover the host, which is what this one does. And yeah, let's go ahead and just send this through. It's not going to work, okay? Well, I mean, I guess it kind of works, but it says they're all filtered, which is accurate, but you can see here, here's your IP address, okay? And it tells you right here, all ports here are scanned and filtered, okay? Which is fine. We didn't need to actually, run, check for ports and all that. It did try doing it, but it didn't work. But that's how you run an IPv6 scan. Okay. So yeah, there you go. There's that one. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and, well, actually, real quick, while I'm here, might as well, right? So real quick, just kind of talk about this. I'm gonna go ahead and just bring up a note here. We'll just do note. Boom. All right. So if you're doing a host, oh boy, host discovery, right? That was the first thing we started on. The first thing you're going to want to make sure that you do is you tell it to not do port scanning. Okay, so we disable it with that. All right. The second thing you're going to want to do, if you are not going to be doing, so I'll just put if you are not going to be doing a ARP scan. Okay, so we'll set this up a fun way. ARP scan. For anybody who likes programming. If it's not going to be an ARP scan, and that's as far as I'm going to go with this, then you're going to want to make sure that you put disable ARP ping. Okay, you're going to want to make sure you do that. If you're doing an ARP scan, don't need to put that. But the different scan methods, they all start with the letter P. Okay, and then you have ARP, you have UDP, and then last but certainly not least, our good friend Mr. Echo scan. Okay, so that is what you need to know for the host discoveries. Okay, I don't think there's going to be any others showing up there for host discovery. It should just be those three. But there you go. All right. Now, if you're doing a actual scan, like a port scan, okay, or service, checking for services, service discovery scans, whatever. Okay, first of all, they all start with this. Every single one of them start with a lowercase s. Okay, and if you know the type of scan that you're doing, it should be pretty easy to figure out. Okay, so for example, we're going to have a TCP scan. Okay, full TCP connection scan. Okay, we're going to have a stealth scan. We had a Xmas scan. We had the acknowledge scan. And then we had the idle scan that I tried to show you, but again, it's not going to work because it only works really on older systems, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Just kind of a quick 1-2, but I will go over this in a different video more thoroughly. Some other flags that you're going to see are like for controlling speed. You have your T, all right, and you have the option to do 1, 2, 3, or 4. No, that doesn't seem right. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry. But T will control your speed. You do have the script thing, which again we will go over later. Port. Okay, so a lot of different things we are going to go over. It's pretty late. I don't want to go over those. So I don't know if you guys could see the. No, you can't see the clock on there. Probably saw it earlier. It's past midnight. I want to go to bed. So we'll get into all that later and show you guys all the fun stuff that you can learn using Nmap to its fullest ability. Okay, so guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Again, there will be another one, at least one more coming out for Nmap, and we'll probably wrap up the scanning networks section with it. Yeah, pretty sure. I'll try to throw in banner grabbing, OS fingerprinting, and all that with that Nmap, because for the most part you're going to do it with Nmap anyway. And then we'll move on to the last section of the reconnaissance, okay? So next video, it's going to be more Nmap, but it's going to be finishing up the rest of that network scanning stuff, alright? Thanks for watching, guys. As always, I really appreciate it, and I hope it's helping you out. You can always leave comments, and I'd be happy to explain more in another video, or just, a quick answer, anything like that. But definitely trying to help you guys with this section. Let me know if there's anything else that you guys want to learn about when it comes to Nmap, and I'll try to add it on there. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you on the next video.